Many men will try to become something that they need to be in order to get what they need to get. Like a sailor tries to become a sailor because he doesn't know how to sail. He's not a sailor. But if he learns how to sail, he has to jump into it somehow. And that means someone has to teach him how to be a sailor. And he's not a sailor, so he can't sail. He'll certainly not live if he goes out there on a boat and he doesn't even know how to sail. He'll not live. Don't think a sailor can take a ship out there with no experience and think he's going to make it. He would not make it. Absolutely not. Which means that you will be a sailor and know how to sail a vessel or a ship. And if you don't have the experience, it takes more than doing it alone because you'll need a crew. Ultimately, a sailor is capable of doing it alone, which means that depending on the ship that you have to sail, it may be you need a crew. But without a crew, it's very possible, depending on the ship that you're trying to sail, that you can do it alone. It is possible to sail alone if you're a sailor and survive. But it's not possible to survive if you're not a sailor, especially if you go out sailing alone. You'll die alone, and you ain't no sailor, and you won't survive. If you know how to be a sailor and survive by going out alone and sailing, if you can sail because you're a sailor, well, if you're not a sailor and you go out there alone and you're not a sailor, but you find that somehow you can sail when you go out there because you're doing it, you're jumping on the wing, you're doing it. And then, how am I doing it, God? Well, God's doing it for you. You must be, because if you're not a sailor, how in the hell are you doing it? Ultimately, if you went out there and sailed a ship and you didn't even know how to sail, wouldn't that be remarkable that you got out there and were doing it and you didn't even know how you're doing it? Well, ultimately, that's possible too. But understand, you won't survive if you're not a sailor. And if you're not a sailor and God doesn't help you survive by making you become a sailor, well, you'll have to become a sailor. If no one's going to teach you how to become a sailor because you're alone, but you'll have to find God as your teacher, because otherwise you will not be able to become a sailor. If you're going to think you could go sail ships or you don't have to be a sailor, I'm going to throw you on a ship and you're going to have to sail it. I'm willing to teach you how to be a sailor now, boy. But if you don't want to be a sailor because you say sailors are bad or evil, so sailors shouldn't even be sailors, well, I'm going to tell you, well, you're bad and evil. How dare you tell me sailors are bad and evil? They're not bad and evil in me. They're captains of ships, and they know how to rule, and they rule others, and they're not to be toyed with, and their will is strong, and they're impervious to mental pain, and they can overlook every kind of hardship and get through it. Okay, wait a minute. So you're trying to tell me sailors are strong mentally? I'm telling you that if you're a good sailor and you're a captain and you have a mental strength that is unheard of, it's definitely rare. It's definitely a captain, and nobody else in the crew will have your strength. So you're trying to say to be a captain is a good thing, a captain of a ship and be a sailor? Well, I'd say it's a pretty awesome thing when you're mentally strong, able to go through any hardship, to overcome almost any obstacle, and to absolutely be competent the whole time doing it. What do you need to be? You need to be a sailor. Okay, well, then what if I'm going to be evil and I like it? Does evil survive and like it? What if evil doesn't like it but still survives because it can? It's strong enough to. Well, let's talk about is good. Is good strong enough to survive? What if I told you it's too weak to survive? That's what's good about it. So it's going to die if it's good. But that's not fair. Don't tell me that if it's good, it's going to die. I guarantee you if it's good, it's going to die. It's too weak to be bad enough to survive and like it. Okay, so you're trying to suggest that I have to be bad and evil to survive, but you don't have to like it. You could hate it if you want, but if you want to survive and hate it and become evil and bad and survive and hate it, well, then you'll still survive as long as you agree to do it. But if you're not going to become evil and bad, a bad sailor, a bad evil captain of a ship, well, then understand, then you can't sail. Don't think you're going to go out there and survive. You certainly won't. So you're trying to tell me that being good is too weak? If it is, that you're too good to survive, you can go out there and think you're going to get on that ship and be a sailor, but I promise you when you go out there alone on that ship, you're going to find you're dead, and God's not going to come help you. Oh, really? Because you're stupid enough to get on that ship and you don't even know how to sail, and you already know this, and you're going to go out alone anyways and hope that God will save you? Well, then I guess you're taking the test of your life, boy. Are you good enough to pass it? I don't know. You're saying I need to be bad enough to pass it. That's what I am saying. Are you evil enough to pass it? Are you willing to do whatever it takes to survive? No. Then you won't. So figure you won't already. Satan is plenty strong enough to survive, and he don't need to be no captain, because he can make the damn ship go any direction he wants just by willing it to go the direction he wants. It will. The devil is even stronger, and he'll also will the ship to go wherever he wants it to go. He'll certainly not have any problem. And the devil ain't need to be a sailor. He might be the best captain and the best sailor on the whole damn fleet, but that's just a fact. If you got the strength to survive and you can't survive, and you're good enough to try to survive, and you're willing to be good enough to try and live and survive, and you find you can't, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you really want to survive, you good little boy? Yes? Then you better start being bad little boy right now. And I want to see how bad you can get, because you're about ready to die if you don't get with it. What do you mean? You don't even know how to sail, boy, and you ain't no captain. And unless you can be a captain and learn how to sail like a professional king in a minute, you're dead. Do you understand me? That's what I was thinking. Well, then you better start learning right now how to be evil and wrong and bad, because you won't survive if you're too good to do it. Well, if that's true, then you're totally telling me something I didn't even know that was, oh my God. You're trying to tell me that evil and bad is going to survive? I'm telling you, it's the only sailor captain that can be a captain sailor and actually do it and say it's good to be bad. Okay, so what about the good captain that can't really be the captain that fails, that dies at sea? I guess he was good enough to die at sea, wasn't he? He was too good to die, but he died anyways, didn't he, for being too good? Okay, so you're trying to tell me that being good is bad. I didn't tell you that. You said that. I said, are you bad enough to survive? Are you evil enough to survive? Are you willing to be evil enough to survive? Because if you're not going to survive because you're just too good, you'll die because you're too good. Do you understand me? Well, if what you're saying is true, yes, I do. You're telling me that I better be willing to survive and do whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.